Okay, so let's talk about the grammar that you need for speaking task 1 of the CELPIP. I really love teaching the CELPIP exam because it's a Canadian exam, it uses Canadian English, and it's not an academic exam, so it's very much like day-to-day English that you can be using. So the first prompt that I wanted to use to demonstrate the grammar in use is, just have it on my computer here. It's a friend would like to lose some weight, but doesn't have much free time. So this is the scenario. It would be really easy to just say, oh, you should get a nutritionist, you should live at the gym. But they give you this stipulation here. He doesn't have much free time. So it makes it a little bit more difficult with the advice that you give. Then the actual prompt is advise him about different ways he can achieve his goals. I definitely spelled this wrong. I think I goes over there, and I always do that even though I'm a native speaker. English spelling is kind of crazy, as you may have noticed. Yeah, so this is our prompt. We have 30 seconds to prepare and 90 seconds to speak, which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it can feel like a while. And the first, really important thing to do is just to understand the prompt. What's going on? What do they want from you? So let's erase this, and then we can talk about the 2 grammar points that you're going to need for this task. Okay, so the first kind of grammar you're going to need, and it's just really good to know, I use green, are modal verbs. Actually, I think this stains, we'll see. It's kind of light, I hope you can see. Modal verbs. So that's the first grammar point. So this is things like you can, you could, you should, you may, you must. So remember that these verbs are just then followed by a verb in the simple tense. So for example, you could say, you can drink more water. And of course, I can't just say that. I always have to explain myself. So you can drink more water, and then why. Water has no calories in it. Water, in my hand. Water helps you metabolize your food. Water fills you up so you won't be so hungry. And then you can give an example. A friend of mine was trying to lose weight, and she just started drinking more water instead of soda or pop, and she ended up losing quite a bit of weight. You could, and then you can also give 2 suggestions and then also say something that they shouldn't do. You shouldn't. But if you already said you should use a different word because you want to make sure you have like a broad vocabulary in your answer. So you shouldn't and of course I can use a contraction here because I'm just talking to a friend. Like it's not a very formal setting. So you shouldn't, what shouldn't you be doing? You shouldn't be eating fast food. And then explain that. Why not? You can say fast food has a lot of calories and a lot of fat, and it's really not going to help you reach your weight loss goals. So that's the first grammar point, or modal verbs. Depending on the situation, on who you're talking to, the severity of the situation, the model that you're using will be like stronger or weaker. So for this, it's not like a life or death situation. You could be using can, could, should. But there's one prompt and it says something like, your friend is going to fail math if they don't do well on their next test. What should they do? And in this situation, because it's a little bit more urgent, you could say something like, you really should, or you must. Something a bit stronger. Yeah. So that's the first verb point. I think, hope you can see it here. I honestly was waiting to go back to my school to do lessons on this because the board is better, but I don't know, COVID has just lasted forever, so everything's from home now. Okay, so this second grammar point that is important for when you do your CELPIP task 1 is the conditional. Let me just find another color, maybe blue or blue, dark blue. So the conditional. So this is saying things like, if I were you, I would. It's a super polite way of giving advice without being like, you have to do this, giving imperative demands like that. If I were you, I would. You could say, go to the gym just for 30 minutes. Maybe you can say during your lunch break. And it's important that I give these details, like lunch break, because they told me in the prompt that he doesn't have much free time. Another thing that you could do is you could say, if you do this, this will happen. If you cut out junk food, you'll see a difference. So this is the first conditional where, if it rains, the street gets wet. Something happens, and then another thing happens. So it's good to remember some phrases like this and just to have in your pocket, because on the day of the exam, it can be kind of stressful because you're just sitting there. and you know, you're going to see a new prompt that you've never seen before. So it's really good to practice and have phrases like this ready in your head, ready to go, so on the day of the test you're more prepared. So that's the second one, the conditional. And I hope you can see this. Anyway, I really hope this was useful. I would love to hear what's useful to you, and you need to, like, the things that I can help you with, so you can do really well in your CELPIP exam.